So, welcome everybody. I'm super excited for today's call with my brother and friend Zac Deane. We met each other 4 years ago, and I have to tell you, this guy is absolutely amazing. I mean, I have seen you creating over the 4 years. You've been doing communities. You have done your broth meetups, where you're meeting with 50 people and everybody is having broth together and improving their health together, their mindset. So basically, what is Zac Deane? Who is Zac Deane? Zac Deane is a health coach, a certified health coach. He's all about biohacking. He's all about making your mental health, your emotional health, your physical health, and bring it to the best possible what you can be at. And I think this is so important to talk about it because all of us want to live better. We all want to live older and longer and get the most out of our energy. And I think there is nobody better than Zac, who I know, because I'm following you and I'm seeing all the crazy stuff you're doing, like putting all the sunlight in all of your cells, getting the best possible nutrition into your body, getting the best amount of sleep into your body. So, and I think this is an amazing time. I'm so happy and grateful that you're here today, so you can share your secrets of biohacking, of getting the best version of yourself. And I know you just started recently a course that's called The 8 Secrets of Biohacking, or The 8 Secrets of Wellness Hacks for better energy, better sleep, and better everything. So I'm happy to dive into this, and I'm so grateful you're here, man. Thank you so much for making the time and speaking to me. Hi, Zac.
It's an honor to be here. Thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. I'm excited.
So yeah, I think let's dive right into it, Zac. So maybe explain, like, what is biohacking actually? What is biohacking?
Great question. Great question. So biohacking, I believe everyone is actually already a biohacker if they're doing things for their health, simple things that improve their energy, their focus, their sleep. Maybe they're helping their results, the gym, speeding up recovery. These things that we do anyway, these help us and accelerate the results towards a quicker outcome for our biology. So we're looking biology hacking, kind of like a computer programmer. If you were to go into a computer program and hack it to figure out the code, we're kind of figuring out the best codes, the best recipe, the best formula, so you can have the best possible outcome, results, harmony in your body. And a lot of people have a little bit of a stigma around hacking. It is a bit of a strong word, right? So I like the word bioharmonization. And so when you think about harmony, nature, 0 point energy, relaxation, calm, peace, joy, gratitude, love, that's really what it's all about. It's getting back to that balanced point where your body functions at its optimal. When you think about health and wellness and all the things that we've been programmed or conditioned, all the fads, all the things from our mom and our dad and school and books and the media, there's so much noise. So what I love is keeping it simple, keeping it fun. And we're going to strip away today a lot of those kind of confusing topics and just simplify it with 8 biohacks so that everyone gets the best results, the best energy, the best sleep, help their brain function, and also results, I guess, in every area. That's really what it's all about, results.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because you just said, like, going back to our optimal health, So maybe biohacking is not even of changing something that has never been there before, but maybe getting back to what is actually natural to us. I mean, I see it on myself, It's like we have so much stress and so many things we're doing to ourselves, and especially when we're living in cities. I mean, we have radiation, we have smog, we have pollution, we have artificial light. We have all this kind of stuff which kind of takes us out of our natural biorhythm and brings us into an area where we're now really affected by all these circumstances. And I think what maybe you trying to say with the biohacking is getting us back to a normal, relaxed state of mind, and relaxed state where our body is able to heal, where our body is able to recover. But yeah, maybe just dive into it right away. Like, how would you, like, what are the things you doing in order for you to have your optimal health?
Yeah, well, you touched upon a really important point there, which was all around the issues of today. We got to imagine that our biology, our body, our mind, our body has not adapted to the modern day lifestyle, right? Right now, I'm in a high rise, I'm off the ground. So I'm completely disconnected from the energy of the earth. I have synthetic, hopefully not too much synthetic, but I have clothes on that are synthetic, and synthetic clothing reduces the energy field of our bioenergetic field. We have my shoes on, disconnected from the earth. There's fake light here, and it's nighttime outside. So what's really going on here is the issue for everyone at home and the whole world is that we're mismatching. Have you ever gone to a party, or maybe you've had a friend, get dressed for a party, and what they're wearing just doesn't sit quite right? Maybe they're wearing, an odd pair of socks, or the jacket doesn't match the jeans. It's like, it's just not matching. Something's off. Or similarly, if you had like an orchestra, a beautiful sounding band or an orchestra, and then you had a car horn, honk, 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 it's going to ruin everything. And so that's what's happening in today's society, is where we're exposing ourselves to these mismatches that are literally reducing our bioenergetic field, reducing our electricity, reducing our magnetism, things that are dehydrating us, things that are ruining our sleep circadian rhythm with the light cycle, food, toxins, water, products that we use, toothpastes, makeup, creams, all the things. These things have a massive part and a massive impact on our body, and we just don't know it. So, yeah, in terms of what I do, gosh, it's been a journey. Maybe I just jump into a bit of my story to give a little bit of context. So, I was super grateful to have a mother who's a naturopath, so a natural doctor. Her mum was a mental health nurse. And so she got to see two sides of health and wellness and was more interested in the natural approach. So because of that influence that I had from my mum, we were vegetarian at a very young age. She did the best. She said, "Oh, let's be vegetarian." But unfortunately, that didn't agree with my body. So my body had allergies, it had asthma, I didn't sleep very well. I had more weight, more fat than usual, so I was a chubby kid. I had acne. And because of that, at school, I didn't fit in. I was a bit of a weird kid anyway. So because of that, I didn't fit the mold of societal's, the cool kid. So I was bullied, I was picked on, I was teased. And definitely as a kid, I didn't want to be alive. I had learning difficulties. I really didn't like school. So luckily though, I had a mentor at 17 years old who taught me nutrition, mindset, training. His name's Jamie, you know him. And he became a mentor of mine. He was a family friend. And just before that happened, I was literally praying and I said, "God, if you can help me through these health challenges, I will then dedicate my whole life to helping other people with their health."
Wow.
And as we speak things into existence, as we think about things and pray and, focus, usually it comes true. So luckily my prayers were answered. So that has been my focus moving forward since that moment, because what Jamie taught me were just simple things, just simple things that I started to get great results. And I realized, I was like, it's not that hard to change if you know the right systems, if you know the right tools, if you have the right accountability. Anyone can do this. And I realized all the people in the world who are probably going through a similar thing to me, struggling with these health issues. And I was like, if I could help those people, that would make a life worth living. And so from that point, I got into personal development, Tony Robbins, NLP, and then I studied nutrition and health coaching. I then got to work with some amazing health and wellness brands, Vitamix, the blenders they use here in Australia at all the cafes and bars and Boost Juice and things like that. And I got to experience the education part of health and wellness, where I could then actually have a platform to share the things that I was geeking out on and learning at home and reading and documentaries and studying. I could have a platform to teach it. And people kept asking me like, "Hey, can you give me some more recipes? I need some videos. Like, how do I use this machine?" So I kept that in the back of my mind.
This is what you did on YouTube, right? You had pretty a lot of people watching your YouTube where you creating recipes for healthy foods, and I've seen that. Like, it's years ago, but it's still amazing to watch it. Yeah, mega.
Yeah, so I ended up partnering with a friend of mine who had a big YouTube channel, and he was just an absolute genius with videos and editing. And so we partnered, we did 5 videos a week, and we built this YouTube channel from the ground up. And it was just an incredible experience. You can check it out online, Raw Cave and Zac Deane, you can check it out online.
What's
And
the name of
so
the YouTube channel? Sorry.
if you just search my name, Zac Deane, my
Zac Deane.
original, yeah, the original name of the channel was Raw Cave because I was really into raw food at the time,
Mm.
and where I lived was in a garage, and it was under my parents' house, and so it was a way of me being creative, under the ground, Raw Cave.
Awesome.
So yeah, from that moment, I just, I was the one trying to just influence people to drink green smoothies. This is before green smoothies were a thing. And I've always been just so interested in health where I've then anything that I learn, I want to teach it to other people. And so throughout my journey, I started coaching people. I've coached over 1,000 people one-on-one, and I realized some patterns, some really simple, I guess, habits that people were doing that was causing anxiety, depression, sleep issues, weight gain, skin issues, like all the different health challenges. And I was realizing a pattern. People, what they were drinking, their lifestyle, what they were consuming, and their job, or the people they were hanging out with, or their habits. It was just really obvious that what most people were doing were living into these societal norms and structures, going out on the weekend, smashing themselves in the gym, buying fast food, all these things. I was like, oh my gosh, like, come on, guys, we got to wake up, stop doing that stuff. There's some simple strategies. We can cook better, we can exercise more effectively, we can sleep with the natural rhythm of sunlight, things like this. So from that moment, I realized that it wasn't food and exercise that made the biggest difference. It was the frequencies in our environment, the light, grounding, jumping in cold water, saunas, right? Connection to our purpose, connecting to other people. There's so many other elements. I now believe that food and exercise is probably about 9 or 10 on the list. So that's what we can
Wow.
dive into now is, these
Yes.
8 biohacks that I think that make the biggest difference. The smallest shifts can make the biggest difference.
Maybe just to touch on these patterns that you've been observing through your coaching sessions with 1,000+ people. Um, you mentioned it's probably like the sleeping rhythm, or what are like the usual patterns that create this ease in people? What do you see? What do you see all over the?
Yeah, gosh. How long do we have? How long do we have, Max?
Wow.
So,
Let's
um,
try.
in the beginning, I thought it was just the food, and I thought it was just the movement. I thought it was just the sleep, but it has a lot more to do with how we think, the words that we speak every day, how we perceive ourselves and our identity in the mirror,
Mm.
and obviously our habits. And so, what are the things that people are doing? Well, similar to the concept of figure out what most of society is doing, figure out the path that most people are taking. And if most people are taking that path and are getting sick, just study them. Look at their habits. What are they eating? What are they consuming? What are their habits? And then do the opposite. That's kind of what I say is like, just do the complete opposite of what some of these people are doing. Now, for example, I'm not a big fan of, and actually really important to mention here is the first lesson we had in my nutrition study course was this concept of bio-individuality. So what that means is everyone's different. What works for me might not work for you. What works for you might not work for me. So it's about finding what suits. For example, living in different parts of the world. If you're in Antarctica and you're an Eskimo, you're right in the cold there with all the Eskimos, you can't eat fruits and vegetables and pineapple and watermelon juices, right? It's
Mm.
hard to be vegan. You have to have meat, you have to have fat. So it's eating to the temperature and eating to the environment, or temperate, with the seasons. For example, if when I went to Thailand, coconuts, juices, salads, these things were just so abundant and my body responded more effectively. So it's important to
Mm.
recognize that the environment that we are in dictates the foods that we and the habits and our lifestyle. So, what are the things, coming back to the question, what are the things that most people are doing wrong? I would say they're not eating in harmony with their environment. So, for example, if it's, when you go to a restaurant, You walk into a restaurant, it's air conditioned. It might be really hot outside, but it's air conditioned. So then we have bread, we have carbs, and we're eating in this cold environment. So it's easier when it's cold to eat carbs and it's
Mm.
lots of meat. But if we're in a hot temperature, we should be eating lighter foods, more,
Right.
cooling foods, things like this. So it's eating in that balance. Things
Wow.
that are, my kind of pet hates, things that really impact my health. Coffee, for example, because of the amount of dehydration that causes as a diuretic. It puts a lot of pressure on our circulatory system, reducing the amount of oxygen and blood flow to the brain. In the short term, you feel amazing, but that's the amount of cortisol, and your body's freaking out because of the amount of acid. And though the solution is really simple, just start adding more fat, coconut oil, ghee, maybe organic butter into your coffee to slow down the absorption of the coffee into your body, so less of a hit. And then also making sure that you hydrate throughout the day if you are drinking coffee. So, what I'll share with you today are obviously some challenges and some issues, but also some solutions. And the best way is to kind of wean yourself off these addictions. My question to you, if you're a coffee drinker and you're like, oh, I love coffee, this is my this is part of who I am, I say to you, why don't you drink decaf? They're like, oh no, I can't drink decaf. It doesn't do the same thing. Well, that adds to the addiction of it, right? So,
Mm.
that's for you to kind of analyze.
But
Other
even
things
even
are,
the
yeah.
advice, right, to add some coconut oil or
Mm.
MST, or how do you call the
Oh, ghee or MCT oil, which is
MCT
just some
oil?
extra fats. Yeah.
Okay, because the absorption of the coffee will take longer. Yeah, you say, or like this is
Yeah,
already
exactly.
a great fact. You, look, like obviously you're the real deal, and I just want to like make this clear. Like it's amazing to see because you've been struggling with your own health concerns, and this became your motivation in order to first of all fix yourself, and now by knowing what to do in order to fix yourself, it became your purpose of helping other people to do the same thing. So I just want the listeners and the viewers to acknowledge that what you're saying is really, really true, and it comes from a lot of experiences, from a lot of experimenting, I guess, from a lot of knowledge, and I think this is amazing and really important to acknowledge. And yes, let's definitely talk about these solutions. I mean, you created this 8 secrets of health and wellness, and I think you probably put all the solutions in there, I guess. So what would you say, like, for the viewers, for the listeners who do not have the time and the maybe not also the motivation to dive completely into biohacking and explore this lifestyle
Yes.
from the angle that you have done it, but to just like improve their life in any ways. And guys, I think it's so important to understand, like we just have this one temple we're living in right now in this life, and if we don't take care of it, like we will have a problem with our energy. We will have a problem with our. We cannot even do the business, the work, the relationships that we want if our energy is compromised. So, I think
Yes.
health is in front of everything. Like your health is the most important thing in your life, because if you are not healthy, you cannot help anybody. You cannot help yourself. If you can't help yourself, if you have not the energy, you cannot give it to anybody, right? So this is really the most important thing. So I think what Zach is telling us here is the most important thing to understand and implement in our business, implement in our lives and businesses, of course.
Yeah.
So yeah, share please, Zach. What are the secrets in your opinion? What people can do in a very simple or in their own way in order to improve their health and wellness?
Sure. And yeah, just backing on that, I believe health is wealth and wealth is health.
Yeah.
There are a lot of healthy people out there that don't have, I guess, even the the money or the finances. They have the health, maybe they have the six pack, maybe they have a lot of energy, but they don't have the money to say pay for their bills, or they're in debt, or they don't have the resources to supply for their family or support their family. But then again, I've met super successful, wealthy people who are afraid to take their shirt off at the beach and don't feel comfortable in their own skin
Mm.
and feel out of balance. And so there's somewhere in the middle where we need to kind of aim for. So yeah, looking at, and just to back on that, obviously coffee might be one of them, right? Another issue that we're facing today is fake light. So what light is a very important part of our biology. We have many important cycles in our body and systems. For example, our immune system, circulatory system, skeletal system. And we have a sleep system or a sleep cycle as well. And most of society are living out of rhythm, out of harmony, and out of balance with this light cycle. We are beings of light, and we are also beings of darkness. And so we need both. There is a duality, up, down, left, right, right? These are all the complementary opposites that have the same importance. And so if we're not honoring the rhythms and the boundaries of understanding the importance of light and how our body needs to be in the light, and maybe confusing the body where at nighttime we're having our phones or laptops or computers or lights. We're literally confusing our biology by mixing light in the darkness or darkness with the light. And our body and the environment just confuses it. It's just like, what's going on? And then our body puts on weight. We don't sleep well. We have stress. We take it out in unhealthy ways. We have addictions. And so this is one of the main reasons I got into health and wellness, because in my family, there's addiction, there's depression, anxiety, there's drug addiction, there's psychosis, mental illness, even suicide. And as I started to understand what these things were, there was a pattern. And as I started to coach all these people, I realized that what we choose to put in our mouth, the thoughts we think, the words we say, the habits every day, impacts our body and our energy and our lifestyle,
So
in,
much.
mind, body, and spirit connection. And so light is another really important thing. And another one, just the third one, just the final issue, is that most people are training and exercising really hard at the wrong times of the day. I understand that we have a 9 to 5 job and we have these commitments for paying the bills, but what's usually pushed on us is smashing yourself in the gym, 6 in the morning, right? 6 to 7, go to the gym, smash yourself, and then go to work, have your coffee, sit in an office, sitting under fake light, disconnected from nature all day, working on tasks maybe you're not in alignment and in purpose with, and then in the afternoon going straight to home, watching television, having dinner, and going to bed. And that model just doesn't work long term. It can work short term for sure, but this is where the core root is where we're smashing ourselves at the gym or at work, and it's causing this stress and cortisol and inflammation in the body.
Yeah.
So we have, diabetes, heart disease, we have brain issues that we see rising more and more today. So the biggest
Wow.
issues of the biggest diseases, disharmonies in the body come, if you look at a website, the Death Meter, which is a breakdown of all the top most popular areas or most common areas where people die, right? When you look at the top 5 or 6, they relate to brain, Alzheimer's, dementia, heart attacks, strokes, you know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
the 2 areas of our body that actually hold the most amount of mitochondria, and the mitochondria create the electrical charge around the body, which is the energy in our body. The most amount of mitochondria, guess where they're kept? Is in the brain
Right.
and in the
And in
heart.
the heart.
So if people are dying from these brain issues and also heart issues, we have to look at what is impacting the mitochondria. What are the factors that cause a mutation or a low voltage or a disturbance to the mitochondria? And that's where the solution comes in, focusing on these 8 biohacks, because all of these will dramatically improve the electrical voltage and health of the mitochondria. Is everyone ready?
100%. One thing I need to add on here, I think this is so important because
Sure.
what you said, like you mentioned it, light, and the rhythm of how we're living. And I think it's so important to understand that there is something that we can call a natural cycle. When we wake up in the morning to a specific time, and maybe you can go on and go into this a little bit more in detail. We have around noontime usually the time of peaking our energy, right? And eventually after noon we're going down with our energy. So it's almost like a
Yes.
frequency that goes up and down in our natural cycle. And oftentimes when what you said with the artificial light, we staying up longer, we watching our phone until midnight and whatever, we completely disturbing our natural cycle. Now the interesting thing is, we not only have that natural cycle within us, but it's everywhere. So when we look a little bit further away, we have something that we call the lunar cycle, and it's what the moon cycle is. And the moon cycle is the same thing. And it was not long ago that I found out about I mean, we all know the nights when the full moon is on, and you can't sleep and it's so weird and you're full of energy. So it's the same thing. You and the moon are basically in the same kind of cycle to different times. So the moon starts with a very small new moon. And this is actually where the energy comes in. So it's almost like your morning. So you're going up with the morning. Then the moon starts peaking at the full moon. This is here almost your noon time. So this is where the most energy is available. And eventually it goes down and reduces again until the moon is almost gone. So this is the reduction phase again. So we have the oxidation, right? We have the stress, the positive stress. We have the energy in the morning until noontime. And then after noontime, we should reduce it and relax into it more. So the same as the moon. And we can go further than this. There's the solar cycle. So the solar cycle is 365 days a year. So when we have the springtime, in the spring, everything is waking up, the energy starts unfolding. It's like our morning. It's like the new moon, right? And then we go into the summer, and then in the middle of summer, we have the strongest energy, the most sun. So there's all the energy. And then we go into autumn and winter. It's the reduction, it's the relaxing phase again. So we need to take rest. We need to switch down. There's less light available. And there's more recovery for us. So it's so amazing to see that everything within us, in the smallest particle, is also outside of us, in the moon, in the solar system, and everywhere. So everything is connected. Everything is the same. And so is your description about the light, of course. I think when we can stick to this natural cycle and be in this rhythm of life, we can probably reduce 80-90% of all the issues already, right?
Well said. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, so many amazing points you mentioned there. Did you know, obviously the sun is a hot heat, right? That's the hot element. And then we have the moon being a cold element. If you actually have a temperature gun, the same temperature laser thing that we had during COVID would measure our forehead for our temperature. If you measure the moon's rays on the ground and you measure the temperature, and then you measure behind, say, a bin or behind a wall where there's a shadow, it is warmer with the shadow and cooler where the moon is. And so we have these amazing complementary opposites, hot, cold,
I
up,
saw that on
down.
your Instagram. I think you shared it one time, like 2 years ago. It was fascinating.
It's, male, female, right? We
Yeah.
have this cycle, and it's just incredible to learn about it, because that's what's happening, as you said, this frequency, and this is the fractal, the Fibonacci sequence. We might have seen this amazing spiral. It's seen in everything, in food, in our body. If we hold our hand like this, you'll see the
It
spiral.
is.
It's in every part of our body, in nature, in the pyramids, in the solar system. We see these fractals that are God's fingerprints, from the
Yeah.
smallest particle to the highest, the macro to the
Mm.
micro. And also even in trading, forex trading, crypto charts, you see the fractals from a daily chart to an hourly chart to a minute chart to a second. It's
Everywhere.
fascinating. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
It is fascinating. And it needs more than 45 minutes to talk about it.
So yeah, let's dive into the framework. Everyone
Yeah.
at home, grab your pen and paper. Anyone that wants to download this for free, if you go to the website, so www.28a.club, 28a.club/join. I'll put it somewhere. I'll give it to Max somewhere around the video.
28A Club.
Yes, so www.28a.club/join. So 28 days. Yeah, so 28
Got it.
days of actions, 28 days of 28A.
I will put it
So,
under the video. Okay, the link.
and so the reason I made this is because everyone is telling me, and they were sending me, let's do the 75 hard. Let's do this thing where it's like you train and you do the diets and the food. And everyone that was doing it, I never saw anyone complete it. And I saw people getting sick, and I just didn't agree with the template. And it's gone viral. You can check it out online, 75 hard. It's this amazing kind of structure, but it doesn't make sense to me. So I was like, I'm inspired by that. Imagine if people had a checklist, a structure that was based on the lunar cycles, right? We have a month, which is a month. A moon cycle is 28 days. Back in the day, we apparently, I don't know, why do we have 30 days, 31 days? This is because they changed the calendar. Originally, we had 13 months, a whole nother story there. But what I wanted to do is create a simple system, a checklist, where if you go to the website, you can download it for free and then you can print it off. So people print it off, they get an accountability buddy, and they start to tick these 8 strategies off every day. And I'll guarantee if you do this for 28 days, every single day, your energy, your sleep, your brain function, your focus, your results in every area will improve, hands down. So let me break these down. So number one is sunlight, which we spoke about before. And the reason sunlight is so important is because it gives your body what's called the 4th phase of water. So Dr. Jared Pollack created a study looking at water. Now, our body is mainly made out of water. And so, but it's not tap water, it's not just any type of water, it's structured water that is filled with electricity, magnetism, electromagnetism, and we take in everything from our environment, and specifically the light that we're exposed to. And so when sunlight hits the skin, it creates this 4th phase of water called exclusion zone water, so EZ water, that isn't ice, it isn't vapor, or it isn't normal, the normal 3 phases. It's the 4th phase, which is more of a gelatinous gel structure, which allows your body to create more electrical charge. It all comes back to the electricity. And so this is where you may have heard of the yogis being airtarians and never eating. It's because they were exposed to more sunlight, and obviously many benefits to fasting. But when we get more sun, it creates more energy through the body. And so that's just, one of the many reasons. But specifically, the other one that I want to mention here is that we've all heard of vitamin D. Vitamin D. Now, the thing is, when I was vegetarian for 6 years, my vitamin D levels were really low because we need cholesterol from animals, specifically animal products, to turn the sunlight that goes onto our skin. It utilizes cholesterol to then create vitamin D. And vitamin D has 200, 500 different benefits in the body. It's never ending. It's amazing for our immune system and anti-aging and all the things. And so the issue is if you're not eating animal products, for example, good quality grass-fed meat or fish and, butter and things like this, you're not getting the cholesterol that then helps you boost your vitamin D levels. And so for all the vegans, vegetarians out there, yes, algae helps, or mushrooms with vitamin D in it. You're going to get a small amount. You're just not going to get the rest of it. So do your own research on that. Not going to talk about being vegetarian or not, but it's something to look at in terms of a long-term approach. So sunlight is number one. So what I recommend is 15 minutes to 30 minutes of sunlight on your skin, ideally in the morning and at the night. Now, why this is, yes, you can do during the day. If you do it during the day for too long, you get red and you get burnt. Don't get super red, right? Just get a little bit pink. That's fine. But the reason we get pink is because it's a blood proliferator. So it pulls the blood to the surface of the skin, which helps circulation. It creates more nitrous oxide, which helps your muscles. It helps impotence, right? Erectile dysfunction. It's amazing for men's, yes. And it's also amazing for hormones, because what happens is during the day, we're a solar panel. And if our body is exposed to all the sun, it generates melanin. Melanin, for one, we get a tan. And the more melanin that you have in your body, there's studies showing that there's less heavy metals in the people who have a deeper, a stronger tan than those who don't have a tan. So melanin will be a chelator, right? It pulls heavy metals out of the body. That's one benefit. The other, obviously, you have a sexy tan. That's really important too. And the other benefit there is looking at the, bit of a mind blank there. But yeah, looking at more sun on your skin to give you more energy for the rest of your body. So vitamin D, sunlight, tanning, helps your body. So the other one, sorry, just to add in there, is melatonin. So melatonin is what most people are addicted to these days, because you take a supplement of melatonin, it makes you drowsy, it helps you get to sleep. But when you get into the sun, your body soaks up the sun and creates more melatonin. So then at nighttime, you need 2 to 3 hours of darkness for the body to start to release the melatonin. But if we have fake light, it changes the whole rhythm. And so this is the amazing cycle that the sun improves
Now, I
our body.
need to ask you this question. Obviously, you're in beautiful Australia. You have a lot of sun. You're blessed with a lot of sun there. What are you gonna say to the people who are now in the middle or north of Europe and it starts to get winter and it's really difficult to get out because it's
Yes.
freezing cold to get the sun or there is no sun?
Mhm. And also, yes. So let me tell you that, and also the other reason why the morning and the evening is so important. And so, in cold areas, right? I love seasons. Seasons create that extra cycle, the appreciation. If it was always hot, you're going to get over it eventually. If it's always cold, you're going to get over it. So if you live in a place where there's seasons, it's about appreciating that as well as the food cycle and everything, because there's benefits to all things. So looking at specifically if you're in the cold environment, when you jump into, I know it might be quite shocking for people, a cold shower or an ice bath. This is by far one of the most uncomfortable things. I definitely don't like this at all. But the benefit to the body, and specifically the benefit to the mitochondria, is by far potentially, I wouldn't say better than the sun, but I would say up there with the sun benefits to the body. Why? It's because the mitochondria and all the cells of the body get cold. And so what do? They start to vibrate. Who gets really cold and you start to shake, right? You're like, "Ugh." That's because your body's starting, and all your mitochondria and all your cells are starting to vibrate. And when that happens, it activates them and actually improves the electrical voltage through your whole body.
So you would say
So,
we can balance out the sun, embracing the cold.
yes.
Okay. Okay. It's actually amazing. And for everybody who's listening regarding the cold plunges and, like cold plunges are actually, they're tough, of course, and also it's such a big win because you're going in there for 1 or 2 minutes, you struggle, you're fighting, but you go out there and it feels like you just won the world, after 2 or 3 minutes, and the whole day is just changed. Now, I like to do it when I was in Dubai, for example, because it's super hot outside and it's easy to go into the cold and it's easy to get out. Now, when it's getting cold in Europe and to have an ice cold shower in the morning, it can be very, very uncomfortable. But I have to say, it's also like a muscle. Now I'm doing it every day for at least a minute, ice cold. And when you wake up in the morning, it's cold outside, the air is cold. You're going on the cold ground with your feet. And then doing a cold shower is tough. But the more often I do it, the more it becomes a habit, the more easier it is. Like for me, it's now unthinkable actually to not have that cold shower. And this cold shower is really making my day. So yeah, I can absolutely confirm what you're saying. It's absolutely amazing. You can feel the difference. Like all day long, you can feel the difference if you have a cold exposure.
Yeah. And this leans back on the concept of living in the environment and learning to adapt. And that's the amazing thing about being human, is that we are able to adapt. And the ability to choose consciously stress, jumping into an ice bath, for example, that stretches, it's called dynamic range. Someone's voice, for example, high, low, we have this range of our voice. And so when we do that to our body and we just stretch, we stretch what we think is possible, not too much. Don't do an ice bath for 5 to 10 minutes. Gosh, those people. Just start off with 10 seconds, right? 20 seconds next week. After that, 30 seconds. Just build your way up. Your body's going to adapt. Now, what you want to do, especially if you're in a cold environment, is then balance the dynamic range from the cold to the extreme hot as well. Saunas, right? Infrared saunas. We're not getting the heat from the sun in the cold environment, but have a sauna and be in there for, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Specifically, if you could do a plunge, hot sauna, then plunge, that's the ultimate combination where you're taking your body from one extreme to the other. That allows you to, your just every cell in your body, it's specifically the sirtuins. The sirtuins are released when your body's under stress, and it improves your immune system. It helps to regenerate cells. It happens when we fast, when we skip a meal, we fast for a couple of days. These sirtuins are designed to specifically slow down the aging clock, because what a lot of the experts say is that when we're comfortable, if you're sitting on the couch all day just flicking through the TV channels, your body's comfortable. When we're comfortable, we age the quickest. So this is about stretching what we have. If you don't use it, we lose it,
Lose
right?
it. Absolutely. Awesome. So you would recommend everybody to basically if you can afford it, get an infrared sauna?
Yeah, definitely getting a sauna is a great investment. And then, just going easy on the ice baths for sure. That's going to take a bit of time. And don't do the ice baths first thing in the morning straight away. Don't do them last thing at night. Do it during the day when the sun's out. I think a lot of the time people are doing them at just wacky times and stretching their body too fast. Just baby steps. And
Mm.
the other thing to remember with the sunlight is if you can, try to get, you might live in the mountains or you might live somewhere where it's dark, especially in different hemispheres of the world. If you can just get your eyes, you can be in your jumper, that's fine. Go outside. If you can, take your shoes off. I know it's cold, whatever. You could even just touch a tree, right? That's going to ground you as well. Remember that. Or you can just put your hand on the ground or your finger on the ground. That's going to connect and discharge the electrical voltage, the positive ions that we get from modern lifestyle. It discharges them instantly out of your body. And so
So
the
that's the next step, I
importance,
guess, huh? The grounding is
yes, this is
something
one of the
we,
eight.
yeah, yeah, it's one of the eight, huh?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, we don't do it enough. I mean, there again, you're in Australia, it's very nice and easy to go to the beach, but still in a cold area, you would recommend people to go outside into the garden, at least go on the grass or whatever if it's cold and have your barefoot exposed to the ground.
Yeah, look, it doesn't have to be your bare feet. Come to think of it, when I lived in Tasmania and it was freezing and frosty in the morning, there's no way I'm taking my shoes off. But if you can just hold the tree,
Uh-huh.
this tree hugging, that
Uh-huh.
actually there's a benefit to that
Uh-huh.
because we can ground. If you put your hand on the ground, it's the same. This is if you have a shower, right? Because the showers are connected to the pipes, which are connected to the oceans. So there's different ways of grounding. Also, you can buy grounding mats that you can sleep on, and grounding, if you're working on the computer, something you stand on in the house, so you ground as well. But the issue with that is sometimes if it's old electrical lines, you can get dirty electricity, which isn't also ideal as well. So yeah, grounding is definitely one of the eight there as well. And just to back on that last point is in the morning, try and get wherever the sun is exposed to your house in the morning, just try and open your eyes to the first light that you can get your body into, because it's going to communicate to your eyes and into your brain. And I'll talk about E equals mc squared in a second with Einstein's law of relativity, looking at connecting our body with the environment. What better way than connecting sunlight in the time of the day? And this is vital that throughout the day, at least three times during the day, morning, lunch, and at nighttime, try and get your eyes to see the sun just for a second, right? It doesn't need to be staring into it, just a second to communicate to your brain to be in cycle, be in sync and with
Wow.
the sun. So, and then also an E equals mc squared, which was energy equals matter, or energy equals stuff, physical. And also stuff can equal energy. And this is the best example is light, which is kind of it's not physical, it doesn't have much weight, pretty much nothing. But that light will go into the eye and it creates a reaction in the eyes that oscillate and creates these electromagnetic impulses that create nutrition for your brain, the hormones, everything inside your body. And this is how some of the
Wow.
yogis or some of the people who are fasting, especially if you're fasting, make sure you get the sun as much as you can for that fourth phase of water, but also the extra nutrition that you get from the light as well. And
Fantastic.
that's leaning on Einstein's E equals mc squared.
Okay, well, the time is running. I can't believe this is going so fast. But okay. Should we speed up through the
I'll just
last?
speed up.
Yeah, you
Yes.
speed
So
up
number
like
one, sunlight, right?
yes.
15 to 30 minutes of sun, morning and night. Number two is hydration. If you're going to have your coffee, if you're going to smash yourself in the gym, right? If you're going to have alcohol, make sure you hydrate. And when you hydrate, you need to do three things. One, you need to filter out the fluoride if you have fluoride in the pipes. A lot of Europe has really good water, so you don't need to do that. But also the fluoride and the chlorine. We have chlorine to disinfect the pipes,
Right.
and we have chlorine in our pool. But when we put chlorine on our body, it kills the bacteria. And our body, when I interviewed a microbiologist, our body is 90% bacteria
Oh.
cells and 10% human cells. We are just one big organism, right? It's fascinating. And
Mm.
so by actually drinking filtered water, you're not getting any chlorine. And also you want to get a water filter and a shower filter, because if you're showering in hot steam, breathing in steam, the chlorine through your
Mm.
lungs and everything, it's going to dry your skin and your
Totally,
hair,
totally.
all the things. So shower filter, water filter, you want to restructure the water. And so I have a little device, it's like $500. You put it on the water and it creates a vortex. And so with all the pipes that they're going through, the water pipes are right angles, and nothing in nature are right angles. So you need to change the frequency of your water. And then there's other water filters, hydrogen, things like this that you can add to water to make it even more absorbable into the body. So number two is hydration. Number three is, and just on the back of hydration, is half a liter of water before eating any food. That's my recommendation. We're dehydrated when we wake up, drink half a liter of water before eating any food. We're not usually hungry most of the time, we're just dehydrated.
Yeah.
And so number three is focus. So whether it's gratitude lists, your top three goals for the day, just something, or just a stream of consciousness, documenting, and it's very
Journaling.
therapeutic, journaling, right?
Hmm.
Just expressing yourself through written, where you're connecting thought to your hand. It's creating a relationship where you're creating single focus, and in that, when I talk about a lot of the webinars that I talk through, I focus on the observer effect and the double slit experiment, which is a quantum experiment showing the physical, tangible evidence that what we focus on, we keep focusing on over time, will create a shift in our physical environment, whether that's goal setting or manifestation. It's a real measurable thing. And so that's all around focus. Number four is movement. I recommend moving twice a day. Maybe one's a walk, maybe some is some fitness exercise twice a day. Don't smash yourself like crazy and be dead. Sometimes I like to do that with CrossFit and high intensity, but just be easy on yourself, and make sure you're moving at least twice a day. Number five is the grounding for at least 15 to 30 minutes a day, whether that's outside, maybe you have a sitting next to a tree, just something where you're grounding yourself. A 30-minute shower would probably be a long time, so I wouldn't recommend that, but just try and get grounded at least 30 minutes a day. Number six is grow. So growth is all around reading, prayer, meditation for 10 minutes a day. They say if we can have silence for our brain for 10 minutes, it will maintain our brain function and our brain health. If we can sit in silence, prayer, meditation, whatever you want to call it, for 20 minutes a day, it will regenerate and grow the brain.
So
So we
important.
choose.
Yeah.
Seven is cold exposure, trying to get to 1 minute, cold shower, ice bath, start off slow, 10 seconds, work your way up to a minute. And then last is light hygiene. So this is really easy. Right now it's nighttime, but I have fake lights on. So what do? I didn't bring them completely, but I have my blue blocking glasses, right? This is a filter that takes out the blue spectrum of light and allows my body and my eyes to start to release the melatonin, which I mentioned before. We need 2 to 3 hours of darkness for our body to start to get drowsy. But if we have exposure to light, that is suppressed, and then we don't sleep well. And then when we don't sleep well, bad hormones, bad mental state, increased weight, slowed down recovery, more arguments and being triggered in business and relationships. And
Totally.
so light hygiene is really important. Blue blockers, easy fix. The second strategy here, biohack, is looking at red light panels or salt lamps, or the
I just wanted
best
to
is it,
ask you. I just
yeah,
wanted
or
to, because I'm in the process of buying one now. I wanted to buy red light panels. So yeah, maybe yeah, because my brother has it, and sometimes it's like on in the room, and the whole room is red. You
oh,
know, that's awesome, right? I mean, it's such a good feeling. So how do you recommend to use those red light panels?
yes, I have a great connection if anyone wants.
I want.
So the best, yeah, the what I'll say why it's important. Okay, if we think about sunrise and sunset, this red light spectrum, the red light specifically will not suppress melatonin. So we're looking at lights that are on right now. This is suppressing my sleep cycle. If we have the red light, it's not going to suppress that as much or dramatically less. So you'll naturally start to fall asleep earlier. And we like when I started to do this, Max, and I started to really get into a rhythm, I started to listen to Dr. Jack Kruse. And Dr. Jack Kruse is by far one of my favorite experts on this topic. I had the pleasure of interviewing him 3 times on my YouTube channel, and he is an absolute genius. He was on the Andrew Huberman podcast, and it was 3, 4, 5 hours of him literally grilling Andrew Huberman for not talking about light, because light will create everything that we get from supplements. Will create everything that we're getting from external things. We can get it through light. And this is why most of society is selling us. We live in a consumeristic world where we're getting sold, I guess, products or supplements and these things to fill the gap that we're not getting from the sun. So if we get the sun, some of these things, not all of them, obviously, chat to your doctor. Make sure that, yeah, we can really start to get the natural approach here as well. So red light panels will help you sleep more effectively.
So it's something. Sorry, it's something you leave on basically in the evening when the natural light is gone. You would say like, okay, switch on the red light panels instead of the normal light and just hang out in the red light, and you will fall asleep probably, or you will get easily fall asleep then 2 hours later or so. And try not to be exposed to your PC or phone. And if you do, then have the red light glasses on. Basically.
Yes, exactly. And the red light, like if I'm eating dinner, I will turn a light on because color changes the taste and the experience of food, right? So, or if you're a computer editing creative and you got to edit, it might be a bit confusing, especially if you start to use filters for your computer, using things like Flux, which is a free download, f.lux. You can download a filter for free. My recommendation is Iris Tech, IRIS.tech. You put that into the search engine, and it's like $20 for a lifetime, and you get a filter for your screen. So at nighttime, you can change it from crazy light to more of a red, calm orange, darker red, and it adds to that light hygiene that I talk about. So
I mean, you have that on the phone as well when we go into night mode, right?
Exactly.
So I think you can shift it away a little bit, get rid of a little bit of the blue light. I mean, this is again, I think important here is these are all great advices. You don't need to change your whole life completely drastically. I mean, you could, and you would probably make a huge, amazing improvement in all your life. But I think if you can implement some of these things, I mean, these glasses, what you were wearing right now, I just actually have them here open on my screen because I want to order them from Amazon. Something like that, and do it in the evening, an hour before you sleep when you still have to work on your phone, just maybe use them. If you have a red light panel, this is what I was thinking, just like I switch it on whenever I can, and just like try to not expose myself all the time to artificial light, and then of course, it's very, maybe to just like recap again, it's very, it makes sense, we're living in this box world, and oftentimes, especially now in the colder countries, when we only have limited daylight and only have sometimes it's still dark at 8 a.m., and it's dark at 5 p.m. So if that's the case, I think let's get out and exposed to air and light, even though if it's behind the clouds, as much as we possibly can during the time that we have it. And then when we go inside, use the time really to recover and find good sleep and maybe work on our mental balance. I mean, obviously it's easier to be active in a place where it's always bright, and it's easier to recover in a place where it's always dark, So I think there's an advantage to it as well when we have because I enjoy the winter, I enjoy the winter. I haven't had a winter for a long time, but if there is a winter, I love it. I love to recover. I love to make myself warm when it's cold outside, and rest, like have it as the rest phase. As we discussed before, with the solar cycle or the lunar cycle, we are now going into the recovery phase, right? So we should recover during the winter, and then we even more so have the right energy when we're in the summertime. But of course, if we have a lifestyle of going out all the time, and spending until the early morning on the weekends, and we missing out on the daylight in the morning and waking up in the noontime, we do some damage to ourselves. And I think it's like we borrowing happiness of tomorrow if we do something like this, But when we implement these things and knowing about them, and bring them into our life, like the energy and the vitality and the happiness that we get from doing this is like it's the risk reward profile is off the chart, like what we are getting for the efforts, what we are doing is so amazing by the energy and by the lifestyle we can create for ourselves. So definitely, and I think once again, water, what you said, like water, drink the water. I mean, every day when I'm waking up, I drink half a liter of water. Now I started drinking apple cider vinegar and a squeezed lemon with a little bit of minerals in a lukewarm glass of water. Would you say this is something cool as well?
This is great. Yes.
This is great. Okay,
This is Zach's tick of approval. Yes.
yeah. So actually, yeah, this is something easy to do for everybody. I think apple cider vinegar. We take this one with mother. I think we say, it's like the one with a dirt inside. A shot of lemon and lukewarm water. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, why do we do these things? Well, the warm water is most gentle on the body. If you have cold water, the body will actually, there's benefits to cold water. Actually, it will kickstart the metabolism, so it can actually help a bit of weight loss. But yeah, by
Mhm.
warm water or room temperature water, it will be absorbed more effectively, less energy converted for the body to then cool or warm the water up. The salt or the minerals, most people are depleted in minerals, and that will help the absorption. You have your
Yeah.
normal filtered water is fine, but it will probably go straight through you and it will pee straight away. If you have the minerals, it will absorb into the cells. And then the apple cider vinegar with the mother specifically, which is the fermentation process of apples, and that process has more hydrochloric acid. It's more of a slightly alkaline slash acidic balance that is more in balance or more in harmony with your gut health. So it helps gut
Mhm.
health, helps kill bad bacteria, things like that, which is our gut is the doorway and the guard to if we eat, something that's not super healthy. If we have bad gut health, every other part of our body is unhealthy too because
Yeah.
it's the gateway to our body absorbing the food. So it helps
Mega.
the gut health.
Okay, super. So I'm doing something right anymore. Focus. I mean, honestly, like this is so important, because you said it. Like we stop thinking about the things we want to think about, and we all the time distracted, especially today, where we have so much fear, so much bad news. If we want to see them, they're everywhere. I think it's so important to keep our focus into the direction where we want to go, and do it consciously. Like take the time off and give your brain a rest. It's absolutely true. Give yourself a rest and decide for yourself what you want. So I love that meditation. You have it then on growth as well, which is step 6. Meditation and silence for your brain. Jesus, we are all the time in something, stress about something. If we are having a moment where we're not working, we're on the phone scrolling social media. Like giving our engine a little rest, not only while we're sleeping, but conscious rest. I think this is so important. Movement, absolutely. I think this is like if we don't move, we die eventually. So definitely get your workout in. And actually, I started doing. I do my gym, but I also do a really amazing practice of a guy called Mike Chang. He's doing the flow exercises, which is in the morning. It's like 60 minutes, and it does a lot of from Tai Chi, like circulation training, like mobility training, and then it goes into strength training, and after strength it goes into stretching, and after stretching it goes into the meditation and breathing, which is like 60 minutes, and you have everything you want. So this guy is called Mike Chang. I can put him in the comments here as well. I think it's very helpful. And then of course cold exposure. Yeah, this is what many people have an abundance in European countries over the winter, and yeah, the light, being conscious about not being exposed about your computer and phone. And I really like, I fail a lot by doing this, but I try to not look at my phone at least for the first hour of the day, to just like be natural in whatever I can do, and obviously not go with my brain into some thoughts and ideas I don't want to get into. And then, of course, before I go sleep, I'm trying to read before I sleep and not be on my computer, watch YouTube or something like that, in order to just like have a better sleep. And as we all know, reading is an effort. YouTube videos is no effort. But doing reading, even after 10 minutes, I fall asleep almost naturally. So it's such a good feeling, to have that as a habit. It's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, summarizing your 8 points, I think it's absolutely great, and everybody can implement this in their lives. It's fantastic. Zach, I'll let you
I'll,
talk a
I'll
little bit
just
more. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just add two things there with our
Yeah.
phone. I'll give you one example. A friend of mine, or friend of a friend of mine, was trying to fall pregnant. He was trying to have a baby with his wife, and she wasn't falling pregnant for months. They were considering IVF and all the hormone treatments and very expensive. And they're like, nothing's working, did all the health things. And so what he was recommended to do was put his phone on flight mode, right? You know, you put your phone on flight mode, disconnect from Wi-Fi. And whenever he carried his phone, which was in his pocket next to, you know, his swimmers, he would put it on flight mode so that they weren't impacted. And he thought, you know, this won't work. But literally 2 to 3 weeks later, his wife fell pregnant because the radiation from our phone, even though it's invisible, has a massive impact on our cells, specifically our mitochondria, our sperm, things like that. So when you have your phone on your body, you know, females might have it in their top. We're looking at females with a whole bunch of breast cancer and, you know, issues that happen from the radiation from the phone. It's hard to pinpoint, but it's so easy to do. Just put it on flight mode, put it in your pocket. So that's one. Secondly, when you're looking for blue blocking glasses, make sure you do your research. There are ones on Amazon and eBay and things like that, which is great. But just because they look the color, right? Just because it might be red, it doesn't mean that it actually protects you from the certain wave frequency. So there are specific brands that I do recommend.
Okay, so what is the measurement, or what is it, UV light protection, or what are you looking for? Like what
There's
they
a
have to have?
specific nanometer, yes, a specific nanometer of light that the glasses need to protect you from. And so whether it's a daytime, you might have a daytime pair of blue blocking glasses that's for everyday use, and then you might have a nighttime pair that's more of the red color that I mentioned before. Off the top of my head, I don't know the specifics, but as long as you go with a reputable brand that's done the research and the science, they'll make sure that they cover that as well. So, yeah.
Okay, super. We probably can put some into the comments, some links or whatever from brands you would endorse. No, awesome. Look, I mean, yeah, and regarding the phone, another thing is we can't pinpoint it, as you said. Like, but I heard now, or I saw a statistic that the brain cancer, brain tumor, went through the roofs the last 10, 12 years or so. You know, and it starts getting really to become a thing. And actually, I stopped using my phone like this. Like, I know it's annoying, but I have it always on speaker when somebody is calling me. And hold it like this, exactly, you know. And I think we are all, meanwhile, smart enough to understand. Don't be too close to your phone. Don't be close to your Wi-Fi. This is another thing. I think, you know, switch off your Wi-Fi during your sleep and in your night. Switch it only on when you need it. I mean, there's so many things. Look, we are already over an hour, Zach, but it's so amazing to talk to you. I would love to do this again. And actually, maybe, you know, guys, if you like this, and obviously this what Zach is sharing is not only important, but it's also super interesting. And maybe put in the comments some specific areas, and I will ask Zach to come back on, and we can talk about something specific, you know, because we are going the whole range of whatever. And you studied this one for probably the last 16 years of your life, so it's a bunch, right? And it's not enough to put it into 1 hour, you know. But these 8 steps are essential. These are amazing, but we can go deeper into these steps because I'm also curious myself. I'm starting to biohack, but it's not even, as you said, it's bioharmonizing. It's harmonizing your life, remembering who we truly are, where we came from, and what's the best state we want to be in. And it's a beautiful journey, and it's just fun, you know, the way of the vitality, the energy we can get from the right choices we do for our lifestyle is just very amazing for us. So, I don't know what to say, Zach. You know, it's been a super fast hour and a bit. I'm really grateful you came in, and I think these are life-changing and life-saving ideas and tips. And please, maybe you can share also to our audience how they can find you if they want to learn more about your eight biohacking wellness tips and tricks and whatever they need to know. So how they can find you and what other things you would like them to know before we have to finish this call.
This has been awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Max. And my recommendation for anyone at home, just take one thing from today. Just one thing and go, hey, I'm going to try this for a week. I'm going to try this for 2 weeks, and then I'm going to try something else. And just build on bit by bit by bit. The way we build a castle is one brick at a time. Don't expect your beginning to be don't compare it to someone else's middle or end, right? We have this comparison, and a lot of social media will make us feel inadequate. So just trust the process, take your time. Your journey is your journey. You can find me on my YouTube channel, Zac Deane, or you could search for Raw Cave as well, a lot of my videos. You could find me on all the Instagrams and the Facebooks and all the things under Zac Deane. And then if you want to download the 28A, the 8 biohacks that we've been talking about, www.28a.club/join, and it's a free download. You're welcome to download it. I recommend printing it out, having an accountability buddy, doing it together, and yeah, that's where you'll get the most results.
That was awesome. Thanks so much. I appreciate you, brother, and hope to see you on this one here next time. Thank you, bro.
See you soon. Thank you, Max. Bye-bye.